YouTube land. Today I would like to share my thoughts on how you can become a better artist. So one way to become a better artist is to make time to stretch and explore. Oftentimes, artists refer to this as playing in the studio. Playing in the studio is oftentimes trying a new technique that is different from your usual art making practice. So for example, like if you're always making functional work like I am, you can make a sculpture, or maybe if you're always a hand builder, you could try the wheel, or vice versa. By taking time to stretch and explore, play in the studio, you will learn to develop your craft in a new way, along with developing your creativity, critical thinking skills, and your problem solving skills. So for me, I usually make functional work, and I kind of admire sculptors from afar. I think what they do is so amazing. So I came across this call for entry for the pottery workshop in Jingdezhen, looking for sculptures of bowls for the upcoming Chinese New Year, which happens to be the year of the bowl. You guessed it. So at first I started going over in my head the many different ways that I could make my sculpture, and it just started to feel overwhelming, and I almost didn't even want to start. I just kind of almost felt paralyzed. And so I decided that I needed to just go for it, and so I went with the solid sculpture technique, working with a solid chunk of clay, making my sculpture, and then I would hollow it out later once it became leather hard. So as I started working, I just started to problem solve and kind of figure out what should I do? How am I going to make all the different parts of the animal? I would reference images that I found on Google, and some of the parts I had to just make over. I didn't like them. I wasn't happy with what they looked like. I kept refining the shape, and so I wasn't afraid to just fail and start over and try again on parts if needed to. There were times where I wanted to quit, but I just pushed through it and kept working, or I walked away and took a break and came back with it the next day or a few hours later with fresh eyes. And to me, when I came back, I was like, oh, it's not that bad of a sculpture. I need to just keep at it. And I just kept working away at it, and it started to evolve, and I kind of saw that finish line coming into sight. And before I knew it, the sculpture was completely made. And it was time for my favorite part, which is decorating. I love decorating the surface of everything I make. That's my favorite part. And so what I did is I kind of drew on what I've been working on with my new body of work, adding underglazes and tissue transfers and decals. And lastly, I finished it off with adding some gold luster on the horns. So it can be hard to make time in your studio practice for play, especially when you have a lot going on. You're trying to meet deadlines. Maybe this is your sole income. But I encourage you to try to make time to play. Making time to play or stretch and explore encourages a growth mindset, which is important to become better at art. By making time to play and trying to make artwork that takes you out of your comfort level, it will allow you to grow and become better at the art making process, and allows you to become a better artist. Sometimes play can lead to a whole new body of work, and sometimes it leads you nowhere, but that's okay. It's all about the journey and the art making practice and trying something new. So don't be afraid to fail when you try something new and you try to stretch and explore who you are as an artist. It's okay not to finish, and it's okay to fail and not to succeed. That's part of the growth process and part of having a growth mindset. Oftentimes, we learn more from failure because it sticks out in our minds more than success often does. So I encourage you to look up the Studio Habits of Mind if you're new to the art making process or you've never heard of this before. It's a great guide on kind of what artists do and go through in the studio practice. Oftentimes as artists, we get into the growth mindset and we're doing it all the time, but we don't realize it. And it's great to kind of go back and refresh your memory or learn about it for the first time. So because I tried something new that I didn't know if I could do or how it would come out, I actually made a sculpture that I am pretty proud of. Is it perfect? By far, no, I don't think it's perfect. Proportionally, there's lots of things that can still be worked out. But again, it was about just trying something new, having fun. And because I took time to play and attempted to create a sculpture I've never done before, I was able to make my sculpture. I submitted it to the Pottery Workshop Call for Artists, and you know what? It got accepted into the show, and now I'm gonna have my sculpture in a gallery here in China, which is pretty awesome. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video watching me make my sculpture as I worked. And if you enjoy what I do and all my tutorials, please make sure you subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. What is your thought on play in the studio and the growth mindset? See you next time.